It's great to see you.
Charlie, it's great to see you. I mean, I've been in Omaha, and I think I've made, prior to the last week, I probably made 2 plane flights in 2 years. I mean, once to see my sister. I mean, just free at last.
You're 91.
I'm 91.
Good health.
I couldn't be in better health. It's a little discouraging to me that my partner in business life, everything else, Charlie Munger, is 98.
You're still going strong?
I'm still the kid.
You have a successor in place?
We have a successor in place, but he's not warming up.
You're not ready to
I'm
go.
still in overtime, but I'm out there.
You still tap dance to work?
I tap dance to work, Charlie. And I've always been happy in the work, but I've never been happier. I've got the most interesting, to me, job in the world. I've got people you wouldn't believe that support me. It takes about 4 or 5. I mean, it takes a village to a degree, but I've got 3 people sitting right down within 20 feet of me, or 30 feet. My assistant, Deb Bosonic, the fellow that handles all the trades I tell him to do in the morning, and money and billions flow in and out, and he takes care of it all. Mark Millard, and I've got a chief financial officer, Mark Hamburg, who knows more than most of the finance offices and legal offices and everything else in the world. And we've all worked together for dozens of years, and we like each other, and everybody helps me. It couldn't be better.
Choosing who you work with.
It's everything. I mean, I write a little bit about the annual report, but the choosing what you do and who you do it with. You're gonna, if you're like me, you're gonna spend 70 years or something. My assistant hasn't worked the whole time with me, but she went to work for Berkshire when she was 17, and she still looks 17, and now she'll be with us 50 years or pretty soon, and they know me forward and backwards, and they accept my eccentricities. They help me.
What would they be?
But I would say this: if you take Mark Millard, I walk in the morning, or I call him first, and I tell him exactly. I've already done it for today. And I tell him exactly what I want to do, and he does it all day. And some days, a good many days, he moves billions of dollars, purchases and sales. He takes care of the whole thing.
When do you make those decisions?
I think all the time. I'm on the clock at Berkshire all the time.
Walk me through a typical day.
Well, a typical day is I get to work at I get up usually at a few minutes before 7, so I can catch it's the 7 o'clock news and network news in Omaha, and so I get up a few minutes before that, and sometimes I turn on the network news. I always turn on CNBC, and I look at what prices are doing and what's happening in Europe and what's happening in Japan, and I then about the market opens our time, 8:30. Although we're doing maybe things in Japan or Germany too, but and I call Mark at 8 with the market opening at 8:30, and I tell him exactly what to do for the day, and I probably won't change it during the day, and it's usually a percentage of something. I will say buy or sell X percent of the trading volume, and I'll give him a list of things. If there's a limit of price, I'd give him the price. And then he does it all day. And I don't need to check with him. And he sometimes does billions of dollars worth of business. He buys the treasury bills, which we, in the last couple of years,
Have a bunch of.
we probably bought $5 billion every Monday. And I would guess that we might be the biggest buyer. And just week after week after week after week.
You made your first investment when you were 11 years old?
In 1942, 80 years ago, I took $114.75, every penny I'd saved, and I bought 3 shares of City Service Preferred. And City Service was a pretty well-known name now and then. In fact, in 1920, City Service, I think, was the 4th largest company in the United States in terms of number of shareholders. It was a big company, and so it had a preferred stock that was selling at 38 that had started skipping the dividends during the Depression. So it accumulated dividends on it of $60 or $70. And of course, it was par value of $100 too, and it was selling at 38. And at breakfast one morning, I follow little stocks every day, but then I made my plunge, and I had roughly this amount of money, so I bought 3. I don't remember this precisely, but I think I told my dad in the morning, "Now, let's move, Dad." Pop, I call it. But let's move, Pop.
But you felt the thrill of it then.
Oh, I've been reading about it and following it. The whole market. I really had read every book in the Yuma Public Library that was on the stock market.
By 11?
By 11, I'll guarantee you. And some of them twice. I started out reading the ones in my dad's office, and I just loved to read. I mean, I read other things too, but I knew more when I was 11 than I know now. I mean, in terms of the actual mechanics of the stock. I mean, I don't know what happens when I put an order in now. I mean, it gets in the machinery of the way orders are executed now. I would know if I sat and worked in a trading room for a day or two, but I don't really know the mechanics as well of what happens when an order is processed today as I did when I was 11.
What is it you enjoyed the most about it? Because you don't pick stocks, you pick companies.
Yeah, but when I was 11, I picked stocks. I had the whole wrong idea. I was interested in watching stocks, and I thought stocks were things that went up and down, and I charted them. I read books on technical analysis. I read Edwards and McGee. I think that was the classic then. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of pages. And I read that whole thing over and over again. I read Garfield, Drew, I read everything. And I thought the first 8 years, I thought the important thing was to predict what a stock would do and predict the stock market. And then I read Ben Graham, when I was 19 or 20. And I realized that I was doing it exactly the wrong way. But it didn't hurt that I had that background and everything. And I rejiggered my mind when I read the book, The Intelligent Investor. And from that point, I never bought another stock. I bought businesses that happened to be publicly traded, but I became an owner of a business. And I did not care whether a stock went up or down the next day or the next week or the next month or the next year. And I didn't have any idea what it would do. I didn't know what the stock market would do, but I knew businesses. I knew something.
I've asked people about your genius, whatever we describe it.
No, I'm a bright guy who's terribly interested in what he does. So I've spent a lifetime doing it, and I've surrounded myself with people that bring out the best in me. And you don't need to be a genius in what I do. That's the good thing about it. If I went into physics or a whole lot of other subjects, I'd be an also-ran. But I am in a game that you don't need. You probably need 120 points of IQ, but 170 doesn't do any better than 120. It may do worse, probably do worse, but you don't really need brains.
What do you need?
You need the right orientation. 90% of the people, I'm pulling a figure out of the air, but 90% of the people that buy stocks don't think of them the right way. They think about something that they hope goes up next week. And they think about the market as something they hope goes up. And if it's down, they feel worse. I feel better.
And you think about?
Pardon?
And what do you think about?
I think about what the company's going to be worth 10 or 20 years from now. And I hope it goes down when I buy it because I'll buy more.
Do you have a competitive spirit? Clearly.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Well, but you got to be careful about what you compete in. It's a good thing I don't have a competitive spirit in chess or or football or anything like that. No, I'm an observer there. I enjoy watching things like that, but I try to keep my competitive spirit in a game where I can win.
Do you have a killer instinct?
Nah, not exactly. I've got. I wouldn't call it a killer instinct, but I do know this. When I want to do something, I always want to do it big.
What does that mean?
I put my whole net worth in City Service Preferred.
$120.
$114.75. And I put my whole net worth in, and I've never, since that day, and March 11th, 1942, I have never had less than 80% of my money in American business. You can call them stocks.
Or equities.
But I see them as American business. I've owned a piece of American business for at least 80% at all times. And, I don't want to own anything else. I want to own a home and things my family wants and all that. But owning 5 homes doesn't mean anything to me because I'm going to be happy in one home, and there's a certain amount of things that go wrong with everything. And if I got 2 homes, I know I've got more problems and I don't have more happiness.